This is my 67 Cutlass. It's got a 455. I've been trying to tune it recently, and I cannot get it to act right. I just got out of the break-in period on it, so I've been pushing the car a little more, and I can't get this thing to rev or act right past about 4,000 RPM. It acts like the ignition or the spark is breaking up, something like that. I've tried jetting it, timing, doing all this stuff. I think when the machine shop put the cam in, they didn't degree it. And it's been so long since they put this together, nobody knows whether they did or didn't. So I'm going to take it apart and check it. I'm going to show you how I do it. So, got to take all the accessories and crap off. Let's get started. All right, I got everything apart. Now let's get the degree wheel on here, and I'm going to see if I can find the absolute, top dead center on this thing. I got a piston stop too. All right, the degree wheel is bolted on. I just got it kind of, oops, sorry, something fell. I got it kind of lightly tightened on there. And I got a wire indicator. That is just a piece of coat hanger. I just bolted this down, tightened it. And I've got it, it's going to be hard to tell on the camera. I've got it to where I can see it as straight on as I can. And I got the piston stop in. Now what I'm going to do, and I'm going to record myself doing it, I'm going to rotate this around until it touches the piston stop. Then I'm going to write that degree down. Then I'm going to rotate it all the way back around until it touches it again, write that number down. Then I'm going to add those two numbers together, divide it by 2, and that's what I need to set my pointer to. So let's get started. Okay, what I've done, and I apologize, it's hard to get the camera in here, so I'm not going to be able to show you while I'm doing it what I'm doing. But what I've done is I put the stop in here. I got this to approximately top dead center on the compression stroke. Both valves are closed. Well, basically. And what I've done is I put the piston stop in there, kind of retracted the piston just a little bit, tightened it down. And what 18 degrees, approximately. What is that? That is, what, 6 degrees? 18 degrees one direction, 6 degrees the other. So we got 24 total degrees divided by 2. We're at 12 degrees. So I pointed that marker at 12 degrees. Let me show you a little closer up. Right there. We're pointed dead on 12 degrees. Now, all that we're going to do, let me get this on here, is we're going to rotate it around like so. Just going to get it all the way around. Yes, I know it's a small degree wheel. I get it. It's just what I've got, okay? We're going to touch, and what are we at? 12 degrees. Dead smack on. So, when I remove the piston stop, these will be at top dead center when I put that marker on 0. Let's give it a test. Let me show you up close. There we go. We're dead smack on 0 degrees. So, this is top dead center. Basically what you're doing is, you got the piston will come up, and it'll stay there for a few degrees of rotation, and then it'll begin going back down. So all we're doing is we're finding when it goes up, it hits the stop, then you go the other way, it hits the stop, and you find the middle of those 2 points, and that's your absolute top dead center. So now, what we need to do, and what I'm going to do, is take this rocker arm off, and I'm going to put a dial indicator on the push rod, and I am going to use that to determine my intake center line. So let's get started. So the way that you determine intake center line is very similar to the way you find true top dead center. All you do is you rotate the crankshaft until you get the maximum lift on your intake valve. So all you do, rotate this until the dial indicator stops moving, then it'll begin to go down. And all you gotta do is back up past that point, and then rotate it clockwise to that point again. And that's approximately your intake center line. Now, the way we're gonna do it, or what we're gonna do, instead of doing it at 50 thousandths, basically you go to the peak, then you'll drop it 50 typically from there, clockwise and counterclockwise, and that's the way you check it. We're doing 100 because Howard's cam, I called them, they said they want it done at 100 degrees. So that's where we're gonna check it. Let's get started. All right, so all we're gonna do, we're gonna hook the ratchet up. We're gonna rotate this. As you can see, the exhaust valve is starting to, there it goes, close. Now we're opening. Now I'm not concerned with the numbers, I'm just concerned that it quits increasing, okay? And there it is. So that is, let me go back. That is our, I'm sorry, it's hard to film and do this. I don't have a tripod that can reach in here. That's our peak right there. Okay, approximate peak right there. Now let me zero this out. Okay, now let me just check this again, because I want to be double extra sure that it doesn't go past that point. Like I said, sorry for the camera work, it's kind of hard to do this. Okay, yep, that is our absolute peak, where I set the 0 point to. That is our maximum lift point for this intake valve. Okay, right there. That is our maximum lift. So we're gonna set this, we're gonna zero this sucker out, make sure it's dead on 0. Right there. Now, what we're gonna do is we are gonna rotate it. I'm gonna first do it counterclockwise because that's harder. What we're gonna do is we want that dial indicator to move 100 thousandths. And we're gonna go a little past it, then go back to account for all the slack and everything. So let's go back. So we're gonna go to like right around there, 120 or something. Oops. Okay, now we are 100 thousandths counterclockwise on this intake valve on the push rod, and we are at, what is that? 52 degrees. Okay, we're at 100 thousandths clockwise, and that is 175 degrees. So 175 degrees. Now luckily that's a pretty simple addition. So we're at 227 total, right? So 227 degrees. Now we're going to divide that by 2. We are at 113.5 degrees intake center line. So what this means is we are 10 degrees off center line because the spec for this camshaft is 103 degrees. I bought a new roller set. I just put it on here. I put it on at advanced 8, which is actually 4 degrees of advanced cam timing. And I am currently at 105.5 degrees. So I'm only 2.5 degrees off what I need to be. So I counted, and there are quite a few more teeth on the adjustment on this thing. So what I'm thinking I might do is just I might retard it 1 tooth, or I may advance it 1 tooth and then bring this back to like 0 degree on the crankshaft sprocket. That's all I'm thinking of doing because I only have 4 degrees of adjustment on that lower. So let's give it a try. Okay, what I ended up doing was I put the timing marks back dot to dot just as they were. What I realized is this bottom gear is 24 teeth. So with each tooth of adjustment, it's like around 15 degrees or so, supposedly. So when I put it dot to dot, I was at about 117 or 16 or 18 or whatever it was. I moved the cam gear a tooth. Let me put the light on it so you can see what I'm talking about. 1 tooth off. You see that? That mark that little Sharpie mark you see is R4, and I'm 1 tooth off, which is actually advancing the cam timing 1 tooth on the crank sprocket. So when I did that, I got to 101.5 degrees, something like that. 101.8, something like that. So what I ended up doing, and I'll show you now, is I just went to that R4 position, which gave me, I was actually at R2, so I went back to R4, and that got me right where I need to be. So let me show you what I've got now. Let's get it all the way to the top of its travel here. Right there. Now let's go 100 degrees off. I mean 100 thousandths off. Okay, we're at 100 thousandths off. Let's look down here. 165.25. Okay, 100 thousandths. We are at 40.25. Let's write that down. All right, so 165.25 plus 40.25 is 205.25. Divided by 2 is 102.75 degrees center line. So we're all over 103 degrees. And the whole point and the reason I'm telling you this is if you are off by just, if you can't get it just right, you might consider moving your crank sprocket over 1 tooth and then using the adjustment on your cam gear to compensate. So that's what I ended up doing, and it worked out fine for me. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna button this up. I'll just kind of record a time lapse of me doing that. Oh, another thing I thought I should mention is that when I put the new timing set on, I had to grind some of that fuel pump arm away because it was hitting the rivets on it, that double roller. So keep that in mind. If you do this, you need to check that. You might have a clearance problem there if you still have a mechanical fuel pump. There we go. Timing sets on. I put oil and fluids back in it. I left the rocker cover off and the bracket that goes over the rocker cover off so I can set the lash on these if I need to. I'm going to look at them first before I do that. I do have the alternator on and the water pump belt is on. Once I'm done with this, I'll put that bracket on, then tighten up the power steering, and we'll get all that going. But for now, I'm just going to see if the thing will start, and we'll see how it acts. Okay, I mean, it's doing pretty good. Little uneven idle there, so I'm gonna put this rocker cover on and then kind of mess with it some more. I think it's good enough to put the rocker cover on at least. So it was actually a combination of problems the car was having. For one, the cam timing was off by 10 degrees. And for two, that distributor, I ended up putting HEI on it. I made another video on it. You can go watch that one. It was off. The Probably the advance curve was off on the mechanical advance. But either way, I was kind of sick of the points, and I just wanted to get rid of that stuff. So it drives great. I mean, I'm really happy with it. You saw what it can do. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.